Hi, good morning. I am Raghavendra from CXOTV, a brand of TechPlus Media Group. A warm welcome to today's Marketing Mondays chat. Today we will discuss on the future of B2B marketing, where we will explore emerging trends and technologies that are shaping the industry. In today's digital age, businesses are continuously evolving their strategies to adapt to changing landscapes. In today's Marketing Mondays chat, we will delve into the exciting realm of B2B marketing, exploring the latest trends and technologies that are reshaping the industry. Our esteemed expert will share his insights, experiences, predictions, unpack emerging trends, and decode the technologies that will define the path forward, offering you a glimpse into the opportunities and challenges that lie ahead. The path to success in B2B marketing is constantly evolving, and this discussion promises to be your guide to staying ahead in this dynamic field. Get ready to explore innovative strategies, cutting edge technologies, and expertise of our distinguished guest. Let's ignite the conversation and uncover the insights that will shape the future of B2B marketing with our esteemed expert, Mr. Ashish Shah, Senior Marketing Manager, Google Cloud, who drives partner marketing. A warm welcome to you, Ashish. And thank you for joining us today for this session. And before we start our conversation, may I request a brief introduction about yourself?
Sure. So my name is Ashish Shah. I work in Google Cloud as a marketer. I have been working in the space of marketing for over 20 years. And I started my career in B2C marketing and made the shift to B2B marketing, where I've been for the last 15 years. So very happy to join everyone over here. I'm based in Mumbai and I've been born and raised in Mumbai all my life. So happy to meet everyone here.
Thank you, Ashish. Welcome again. To set the stage, let's begin with a broad question. How can, as a marketing specialist with over 20 years of experience in B2B marketing, what are some key trends and technologies you see shaping the future of B2B marketing?
Yeah, so I think that B2B marketing space has changed dramatically in the last 2 decades, and it's, if I really look at it, it's from different lenses. I think one of them is, you look at the 3 V's, as I call it: velocity, variety, and volume of content itself has grown dramatically. I think this offers good opportunities and new opportunities, for us to engage with our customers. And the same breadth of the 3 V's also applies to data. So I think in terms of the availability of data, whether it's in terms of velocity, variety, and volume, that's also been, dramatically changing over the last couple of decades. And I think it offers new opportunities for us to understand our customers better, and especially in this age where digital privacy is, of growing importance for our customers and our consumers. I think it's important to keep track of insights in that regard as well. The other is a marketing channel ecosystem itself has undergone a sea change. So if you look at the, where things were maybe 10, 15 years ago, we used to talk about TV, print, outdoor, radio as, the primary channels of marketing. Today, we really look at a much wider mix. You have mobile, you have social media, you have digital media, you have podcasts, all of which have kind of made inroads and have formed, new ways of connecting with customers. It's made discoverability of content far easier, but it's also created a more cluttered space, if I may add that. The other is, I feel like over a period of time, I've seen marketers under tremendous pressure. I think we are under more pressure now than ever to make our marketing dollars work harder and, show better ROI, more impact on business. So that's also something that I would kind of want to call out.
Cool. Really sounding to hear that 3 V's that you mentioned. That was really one of the things that I got it. And as you mentioned, the marketing has evolved in the recent stages from what it was and what it is now, with a lot of technologies that coming and playing here. How can these emerging technologies like AI and automation impact B2B marketing?
So I personally think AI, in particular generative AI, has, tremendous scope in impacting all areas of marketing, in a sense. And you'll start seeing this over time, So I think at a broader level, if you really look at generative AI, I think it's already, the impact can be felt in helping marketers become more efficient and more productive by automating or reducing the time taken for routine tasks, So for example, converting text to image and video, creating social copy, visualizing and testing ideas, writing lengthy documents, I think all of this is something which is now easier and quicker in terms of leveraging, generative AI tools. So I definitely think that's one area which I would want to call out, where it helps marketeers. The other is in terms of measurement. Like I was mentioning earlier, you have a lot of velocity, volume, and variety of data, but you're also living in a world where people's expectations from a digital privacy are kind of going higher and higher. So we're going to find ways, or having to find ways of, how to draw insights from limited signals, where third-party cookies are, under pressure. You don't have device ID related information at your fingertips, or hard to come by these days. So I think that's another place where generative AI can add a lot more value in terms of generating insights from, available data. And I think the ability to visualize this to, kind of read it faster, better, and make better decisions.
Completely agree with you, Ashish. As the technology set trending, the kind of insights that you get, the kind of visualize that you can do is really taking a big shape. And also it helps us to reduce a lot of time that you used to spend earlier. And keeping that in mind, the more amount of time that you get might be utilized to focus on more things that you should, as in one of the tasks that you should increase your pipeline. How do you manage your demand? So keeping that in mind, how important is building pipeline and influencing the demand in today's B2B marketing landscape?
I would say one of the most important areas of focus, if not the most important area of focus. So definitely one of the important ones. A large chunk of my job, in fact, goes in, kind of creating or sourcing demand and influencing pipeline. I think as B2B marketers, like I said earlier, we are under pressure to show better ROI. I think, there's a lot of, this is an opportunity actually, to find a seat at the table with the business. Mm-hmm. And I'm glad to see that business is also starting to see more strategic value coming out of marketing. This is not to say that, building brands or creating brand awareness and mindshare is not important. It's as important as ever, but you also need to start influencing business and how you're creating that pipe from where business deals are won. So I also think, it's a good opportunity for us, like I said, to be having a seat at the table in driving business conversations and how marketing can contribute to that. So definitely would say this is very important.
Yeah, I would see the kind of trend has been shifted from just being building brand building and focusing on more of the business and the demand side of it. It has taken a shape post-pandemic, I would say.
Yes.
Yeah. And with the rise of post-pandemic and during the pandemic, with the rise of remote working and virtual events, how can B2B marketing adapt and leverage these changes?
I think it goes hand in glove, when you look at remote working and, for example, virtual events, it's the pandemic, in fact, taught us, right? I always say that necessity is the pivot of all marketing. When I remember 3 years ago, when the pandemic hit us in March, I was, in an organization where we were trying to do this large event with, in 2 cities, where we were like calling hundreds of CIOs and CTOs, and suddenly the lockdown happened in March, and, we had to immediately pivot into something called virtual events, which that time no one had heard of, right? So, I mean, it was an extremely new area, but we figured a way out. I think agencies or vendors we work with also kind of came up with new ways of hosting events, whether it's webinars, roundtables, conferences, etc. So I definitely think that it's helped bring in a certain level of efficiency and help kind of broaden the reach. Earlier, if you did, an event in a city, people would probably come from that city. So you really couldn't expand your area of influence and have more people join in. But I'd also like to add that I think virtual events will never be able to generate the same level of interactions or that same connectedness which face-to-face event does. So I'm a little old school also when it comes to the power of face-to-face interactions and connections. And since we moved away from the lockdown and we started doing more of face-to-face or ground activities, we've seen those relationships kind of foster better. But this doesn't take away from the fact that virtual still remains. We are having this conversation on a virtual platform, and I appreciate the fact that I have the ability to talk to you despite the fact that you're in a different city from where I am. So the other thing which I think from a marketing standpoint is for remote workers, people working across offices, I definitely think there's a lot of enablement of technology which drives collaboration and drives productivity. For example, you have products such as Google Workspace, which I use all the time, and it is in a sense a collaboration tool, right? So I think it's like one of my go-to software products for like pretty much a lot of things. And I can't understate the importance of having this in terms of driving remote collaboration, without dropping the ball on anything whatsoever.
I like the word that you brought the point of collaboration. I was about to come to that. So during the pandemic, it was suddenly happened. We faced a lot of challenges in collaborating with each other because everyone is work from home, scattered at different places. We had some challenges in the collaboration, but still somehow we overcame it. We worked past with the pandemic as well. Collaboration with partners is crucial for success in any B2B campaign or B2B marketing. So how do you approach the foster successful partnership in the hyperscale segment that you are part of?
So I personally think collaboration is probably one of the most crucial elements for success. Period. I mean, this does not refer to partners alone, or I just haven't heard of anyone anywhere doing anything single-handed, achieving anything single-handedly, anytime without, having people support him or her in terms of, achieving great success. So I definitely think and, always believe in the spirit of collaboration. From a B2B perspective, I think as a model, it requires a very strong partner model to kind of sustain it, grow it. I think, this has to be built on a lot of elements, for example, funding and co-marketing, technical know-how, sharing of that, sales support, operations support. I think when you do this and you build a thriving partner ecosystem, you achieve two things. One is you can drive business at scale, but you also end up winning some pretty strategic deals, So I think the impact on business is like very direct, very real. And I definitely think that our ability to kind of work with partners in a big way determines our success of, what we become as an organization. And I'm talking about this more generically. So, yeah.
It's really big. Ashish, the partner ecosystem is definitely plays a crucial role in making the collaborations, and when we want to do an integrated programs, their collaboration with them and the internal team really plays a big role. So can you share a few examples of integrated thought leadership programs of customer advocacy use cases that you have executed in the past?
Yeah, I've done a few thought leadership and customer advocacy programs in my career. Over 2 decades, you tend to do at least some of these. And so I'm no different in that sense. There's one particular initiative which we did in 2015, quite some time ago, but which really still stands out as, a great example of collaboration and of thought leadership. So this was, I think when the new government had come in 2014 and was driving the Digital India agenda in a very big way. They wanted to kind of foster the vibrant and vast startup ecosystem that we have in solving our problems, of our country. So I worked in a different organization that time, still in the technology space, and we wanted to drive public-private collaboration and partnership. So we used this as an opportunity to build a program called Innovate for Digital India, which targeted startups, and we kind of provided them a platform to create solutions which solved India's problems. It was actually very unprecedented that time. I mean, today, when you look at the startups and the ecosystem and the programs that are run, it's pretty much, what was happening back then. But it was very new then. It was the first of its kind public-private collaboration. So we worked, in fact, directly with the government of India and kind of rolled this program. It lasted a whole year. And we worked with CII, which is the Incubation and Entrepreneurship Center from IIM Ahmedabad. We, in fact, ran a 3-month residential mentorship and coaching program in Pune. So where we've kind of built 20 startups, through this whole program in creating prototypes of their products, their solutions, gave them all the technical marketing, sales know-how of how to take this to market. And we ran a whole 360-degree campaign, which included television, digital, outdoor, print. We ran events, and all this was done in tandem with the government. I think the high was definitely we took the top 10 teams to present the idea to the President of India at that time, Shri Pranab Mukherjee, at Rashtrapati Bhavan. And I don't think I've seen like a bigger moment of, kind of excitement amongst participants of a program, they get to present to the President of India. And I really think that stays with me, and to be honest, I didn't know much about startups back then. I went in quite blind. Obviously, we knew India has a big startup ecosystem, but I came out of that program like in deep awe, respect, and deeply inspired by these people. I mean, some of the solutions that they created, and till this day, they're very active. It just is so inspiring of what you can do as a team, and when you have an idea and how you can take that to market. So I think that would stand out as a great example of collaboration to drive thought leadership. I do remember we actually had the highest share of voice in terms of Digital India marketing initiatives back then. So it did deliver what we intended it to.
Fantastic, Ashish. Fantastic. Good to hear that. And when you collaborate with the teams at that scale of execution, and as you mentioned that you didn't had any knowledge of startups, but you gain that knowledge along with the collaboration. When you're interacting with so many teams at such a big stage, and definitely it adds value to gain knowledge, share knowledge, and it's unlearn and relearn kind of a process. Fantastic.
Absolutely, yeah.
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 So just getting a little deviation from this, and if I may ask some few things about design thinking, could you elaborate on your experience with design thinking and its impact on your marketing approach?
So design thinking is something I don't use a lot of, to be honest, currently. But I am a certified design thinking expert. I have taken a course from IDEO. So I do, and IDEO is one of the pioneering organizations, in design thinking. So I definitely kind of went through with that quite a few years ago, in fact, and I had the fortune of even presenting at Kuala Lumpur once, in a conference on design thinking. I think the whole process of going from empathy to ideation to prototyping to testing, which is the key tenets of design thinking, is a great way of testing and sometimes busting up preconceived notions. I think often what happens is when you spend a certain amount of time doing what you do, you tend to start thinking and believing that's the only way to do something, and I feel like from a marketing perspective, especially when it comes to strategic marketing, strategic problem solving, for example, design thinking can be a very good tool in terms of solving for problems and for strategy. So I definitely am an advocate of it. Yeah, but haven't used a lot of it off late, to be very honest.
Maybe with the emerging technologies, maybe design thinking might or will play a crucial role in coming days where people might adopt it and work on it. And just going back to your first point that you switched from B2C marketing to B2B marketing. So keeping that in mind, as someone who has made a switch from B2C marketing to B2B marketing, what similarities or differences do you see between these two?
So yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call myself an expert in B2C marketing. I've spent a very limited amount of time as a consumer marketer, but I definitely have been on both sides of the fence. So I do have an appreciation of, what one offers versus the other. I think there are more similarities and differences, to be very honest, So if you look at B2C marketing and B2B, both are challenged for ROI. Both are challenged to show more impact and more value to the business. That really doesn't change no matter what you do. So I think both have a need to create brand awareness, to create demand. So I think that also remains the same. If you look at the marketing channel mix, it's again pretty constant. Yeah, they both continue to deal with the 3 V's of content and the 3 V's of data. So I think that's also quite similar. You look at the ecosystem of vendors and channel, you continue to need to foster that. I think, whether you're doing consumer or you're doing B2B marketing, they both rely very heavily on data for measurement. So I think that's another area. I think the big difference, which I would probably, like in my observation, is when you're doing B2C marketing, you're really talking to an individual, and addressing certain needs, and you have certain segments. Whereas when you're talking to a B2B, in a B2B marketing space, you're speaking more to a persona within an organization. That persona is solving for the organization, not for himself or herself. So I think that is one bit which is different from B2C. And I think that, obviously when you look at it in terms of approaching your content, approaching your tactics, your strategy, you need to keep that in mind, that you're solving for an organization, not for an individual. So, but yeah, otherwise I think there's a lot more that's common than is uncommon between the two.
Clearly, you mentioned the clear demarcation between two marketeers. Though the crux, there is a limited deviation or differences between both the marketeers, one focusing on a consumer and the other one focusing on a persona who is solving the problem for the organization. The bottom line remains the same. What is the thing that you're bringing on the table to the organization?
Correct.
So
correct.
That is one bottom line remains same across whatever you do across both of them.
Correct.
Oh, and someone who is passionate about travel, maybe it's a mix of B2C and B2B kind of thing. Someone who is passionate about travel, photography, and writing. How do you bring creativity and storytelling into video marketing strategies?
with a lot of difficulty. Yeah. So, no, I mean, jokes aside, I think the power of, storytelling visually is very critical no matter what you do. So even when you're talking to a persona in an organization, it's still a human, it's not a machine, and I think it's very important to not lose sight of that. So it's whether you're B2B or B2C, you need to be able to kind of have social copy that attracts attention. It could be as something as simple as that. You need to have the right images, you need to have the right video, formats. India, for example, is huge on video consumption. So, I mean, we find ourselves constantly watching videos on our mobile devices. So, obviously, attention spans are shrinking. So, how are you leveraging those insights into creating maybe 15-second videos, 30-second, 90-second videos, which tell your story in an engaging way? So, I definitely think that the power of combining, my love for photography, travel, writing kind of leads to that. But I think it's also in terms of being creative in how you do your work. So, as an example, we do a lot of CXO focused engagements. This is CXO TV. So I can tell you this, that CXOs are quite bored of listening to, standard sales pitches or roundtables. It becomes challenging. It's not like they don't come and they don't value it, but there's just so many of them, right? So we started seeing that conversion rates were becoming more challenging for us. So I think one of the things that we started doing more of is experiential marketing. So one area which I believe is that when you're talking to a CXO, you need to build a certain level of trust, a relationship, before you can go sell your products. So I believe experiential marketing offers a good platform for us to have our sales, pre-sales folks, engage with prospective customers or existing customers in an environment which is not all about work. So, so we've done a whole bunch of experiential marketing programs with in my work, and I think we've seen good results of that. Turnout is better. We build deeper relationships. I mentioned this, that earlier, that the power of face-to-face relationships is very essential in our area. When you interact with people face-to-face, it's very important to build that connect. So I think experiential marketing goes a long way in building that. So it's a creative way of problem solving, not necessarily visual, but it's still a creative way of problem solving. And I think I just wanted to call that out. I also personally run this because Sunday isn't about work on LinkedIn, where I post pictures every Sunday. I try to post pictures every Sunday. I'm not very regular with it. But it was more to break my own monotony of content on LinkedIn, and I found that I have a professional network with whom the engagement wasn't really, going beyond basic, so to speak. So it's interesting, I mean, I love photography, I love travel, so I share my pictures. And over a period of time, I've actually had people come up to me at events and saying, "Hey, aren't you that guy who posts that Sunday isn't about work? We look forward to your pictures." So, I mean, it really feels nice to, kind of be recognized for something which is beyond work as well.
But yeah,
I think, again, it helps build those connections, right? I mean, which I was talking about, which is so essential in your work life also. So that's another area where I try and bring in some creativity and kind of connect it back to my professional network and my job.
super. Completely agree with you. So we have been discussed about B2B marketing, how B2C, from B2C to B2B marketing, and how the collaboration has been in the journey from pandemic, post-pandemic, and how it is helping those our marketing strategies. And as a personal friend, the creativity, how it's been helping personally and also connecting with it professionally and connecting with the community and getting into the experiential kind of marketing where we get a lot of results, connect. It's not coming out of a traditional way. That's nice of you creating those things, Ashish. And finally, before we conclude, is there any final insight or message you'd like to leave our listeners and even the aspiring B2B marketeers in B2B marketing?
I mean, I don't think I'm anyone to kind of give messages to aspiring marketeers. I think everyone's pretty smart these days. But just few observations that I can share about, my own journey is everyone has their own journey, right? I mean, so you need to chart your own, not get stuck up or, kind of copy paste and try to templatize someone else's career. I think it's very important to kind of tap into who you are, in that sense. So you mentioned, learning, unlearning is something very critical. So I am very, very motivated by that all the time. So I personally feel having a learning attitude and practicing a lot of humility always helps, has helped me. I, have always had the fortune for working for very large organizations in their field, but I don't think I've ever gotten carried away with arrogance in terms of who I'm working for. It's always a job at the end of the day, and you're there to do that job. So I feel that, humility has to come in on a day-to-day basis. I definitely think charting your own course is very important. I started as a market researcher. I'm very passionate about market insights even today and in B2C. And then I made the shift to B2C marketing and now B2B marketing. And it's my journey. Not everyone's journey has been the same. So I think that's again important. Another thing which I would recommend is find good people to work with. Like I feel one of the areas which I've been very fortunate is right from the beginning of my career, I've always worked with some great leaders and some great colleagues. And I've just learned a lot from observing, some of them have, of course, nurtured me, sustained me. So I think it's very important to find good people to work with and kind of respect that opportunity to learn from them. I don't take it for granted. And, I feel like one mantra that I lead with and my team hears from me like day in and day out is to be very outcome focused, not task focused. I think when you change that, you change that whole approach from, I need to do these 3 things to I need to achieve these 2 things or that one thing, it changes how you do things. And I've seen that in my own work and, in my team's work. So I think that's one area I'd call out. The other is, like I said, be true to yourself. I, for example, come from the LGBTQ community. It's something, which I started owning up over a period of time. So I personally do feel like being comfortable in your skin, and kind of just being honest with yourself is a very important part of bringing that to work every single day. That's another area which I would just like to kind of call out, in general, irrespective of which career you have. Yep.
Nice. So just 2 points I could really that caught me is one thing that we discussed: learn, relearn, unlearn, and then be outcome focused than a task focused. Really, that statement speaks itself. So, thank you, Ashish. Thank you for your valuable insights and for sharing your expertise on the future of B2B marketing. It's been an enlightening conversation, and I'm sure our listeners and aspiring B2B marketeers will gain a lot from it. Thank you once again.
Thank you for having me. Thank you, Raghvendra.
For more updates from CXO TV, please like and subscribe to our channel.